talking about. It's more to go into a big picture, market-oriented situation. And in a way, I'm also segueing what Mayor Morrison was saying about that we are in a global situation. And for Illinois to be successful in this market, or really anything nowadays, it has to be the realization that we are no longer cut off, so to speak. We are part of a global market in everything, and the more we realize that, the better. Following some basic premises here. The term disruptive technology kind of came up, and solar and all the other renewable energy technologies are not only just evolving, they are disruptive technology. They will drastically change, whether we know it or not, our way of life. And the other factor is that, as a result of that, just like we used to have typewriters, we used to have newspapers and other things like that. A lot of things that we used to have are rapidly disappearing. And at the very least, the way that we generate and transmit and use energy is going to drastically change one way or the other. The other issue, how many people know about the term grid parity? This is one of the complaints about solar and renewable energy. Well, when it reaches grid parity, then we can use it, or then we'll consider it. So think about that. That's like if you've driven a car for like 40 years, like 1968 Plymouth Valiant, and finally it gives out. So we're not talking about a car that you keep in the garage, or on blocks, and under the car, maybe a couple of times a year you take it on the street cruises, or tool around. We're not something you try every day. 40 years, then it gives out, and then you're going to go buy a new car. You're going to get a 2010 Prius. There's going to be a little bit of a price difference. And to think that you're going to get the same price, or near that same price, in fact, for inflation, as you did for that 68 Valiant, is at the very least a little bit unrealistic. The true premise that the public and especially policymakers have to make is that the question is not reaching grid parity. Is there anything that's going to happen for everything else to get more expensive? Or what is the cost compared to other new construction power technologies? And on that basis, solar as well as wind, in many aspects, has already reached new construction parity. That it is just as cheap when we're talking about kilowatt hours, on a kilowatt hour basis, that solar and wind can be just as cheap or just as expensive as the new power plants that have to be built as far as fossil renewable power. But what's happened is, maybe it's a little bit of an extreme situation, but we have essentially run our power plants into the ground, which is why our power is relatively cheap for what people don't think it is. When people start seeing the new power plant construction with also the electricity that will come from that, we're going to experience a little bit of sticker shock, and then solar, well, it won't look so bad. And on the home front, that Illinois has done a lot of good things, improving our policy. We have to be able, we're going to be competitive, not just globally or in the United States, but I consider our real competition right now is Ohio, Wisconsin, Michigan, Missouri, because they're moving ahead in a lot of ways, a lot faster than we are, to take advantage of the economic development benefits of solar and other forms of renewable energy. So again, the big picture, for the last couple of centuries, our whole way of life has existed as digging stuff out of the ground and burning it up. Starting with coal, then petroleum, then natural gas, and uranium. Uranium doesn't have tailpipe emissions, so to speak. It is essentially a mining process. You're digging uranium out of the ground, process it, and you're putting it in something where the heat boils water. So it's a very similar type of process. And while we will soon be entering a phase that we're going back, because our society before that existed on energy from the sun. And one way or the other, we'll probably be going back to that. We'll be a lot more efficient and a lot more technologically advanced in how we use it. And it's going to be a big difference. Those of us that have been trying to put in our retirements, the biggest fear that we have is outliving our money, is not having enough money to begin with. And this is the type of a societal issue right now, is are we going to be able to live off our interests, or we're going to continue to eat away our capital? Because that is what's happening with all of our fossil and, to an extent, our renewable resources. Conversely, the traditional way of generating power for the last century or so has been large, centralized command and control power plants. You just essentially throw the switch and you get your power. Your BTUs, you get your kilowatt hours, and there usually hasn't been too much to worry about. Planning has traditionally been, you take a piece of graph paper, you take a yardstick, and you just draw a straight line. The question is, you figure 3%, 4%, 7%, and you'll increase, and you just pop in your power plant. So that's stuff along the way. Well, that I think is going out the window. And we have the technologies of distributed power. We have the technology of a grid that can work on a two-way basis. We have the technologies of being able to intelligently use power on all kinds of incremental basis. So the question is not the technology, but we're going to have the policies and the economic environment to make something like this a reality before anyone else gets ahead of us. That is the issue of climate change. And I'm using pun here. The argument has become that we polarize. We have people that, because you cannot definitely prove that the negative consequences of climate change is 100% certain going to happen, it is simply a hoax. That is 100% not going to happen. It almost reminds me of my Saturday morning cartoons of watching Wile E. Coyote chasing the roadrunner, and he just doesn't realize anything until the shadow of the cliff that he's about to run into smashes in. Then he believes it is a problem, which is a rather primitive way of saying it. But the issue really is one of risk. Whether it's a 10% risk or a 90% risk, whether you can price that risk in terms of power generation at $10 a ton of carbon, or 20, or 50, or 100, I guess that could be up in the air for discussion. But to have an either-or situation is extremely damaging, and it hasn't really gotten us very far, especially in this country. So if you don't care about the polar bear, you need to care about this. The big picture is our global growth of energy consumption. This is a little bit of an eye-opening stat. I pull a lot of stuff about the goal-going organizations, like the U.S. Energy Information Agency, all kinds of fun stuff. And in a 10-year period from 1997 to 2007, global energy consumption, clock is just a lot of BTUs. Global energy consumption has grown by more than what the United States uses. Okay? Everyone used to yell at us because they would say, oh, we're only 5% of the population and we use 1/3 of the world's resources. Well, that was true back in 1960. Well, they yell at us saying, well, you're 4% of the population and use 25% of the world's resources. It's true about 10 years ago, a little more than 10 years ago. Now, we're about 1/5 of the world. We use about 1/5 of the world's energy. And that percentage is dropping precipitously to the point where we're going to be not quite like everybody else. Because everybody else is becoming more and more like us. They want cars, they want air conditioning, they want all those other fun things that we have. A lot of them may hate us, but they want to live like us. And what this means is two things. That not only are we losing control of influencing the market on a production basis, which we lost a long time ago due to peak energy, but now we're about to lose control of the consumption side. We're not going to be the biggest consumers in a lot of things in a very short period of time. And this is starting to show up in all this cold, nasty reality, starting with rising electricity prices in the last 10 years. You can see here things have kind of softened a little bit, and you can thank the recession for that. If you want low energy prices, then the recession continues. Because that's, right now, that's one of the main factors that's holding energy prices down. These are reported prices, and they're not, and there are plans that have not been built yet. They're really nothing more than very detailed estimates of what new power plants are going to cost. Starting with, say, Keystone Center, that's figuring out $4,000 a kilowatt plus interest. The fun thing with nuclear power plants more than anything else is they are in construction for a very long period of time, so their construction interest rates are considerable, more even than coal and other fossil fuel plants. Their estimating cost of operating the plant is going to be 30 cents a kilowatt hour for the first 13 years, and then after that, 18 cents a kilowatt hour. It's the operating cost. Then they have to add something that the ratepayers pay for. Granted that this will get blended into a base, but this isn't exactly what you call a good parity. Other numbers. Progress Energy's new plant, $4 and 26 cents a watt. Florida Power Line's power plant, $8 a watt. NASA integrated generation carbon capture, combined cycle carbon capture plant, is estimated so far at $5.80 a watt. Duke Energy Edwardsport plant in Indiana, advanced generation technology, $4.60 a watt. We're looking at pretty expensive stuff when it gets online. That is not good parity. Other global factors, coal has been considered to be a firewall, if you will, against high energy prices in the United States. For two reasons. One, we have an awful lot of it. And two, it has traditionally been a commodity that has not been significantly traded on the global map. That is going out the window because of the great rising demand of energy, especially in Asia. In a matter of 8 years, about 50% more coal has been shipped around the world globally, and it is continuing to rise. Now, granted, most of this trade is between Australia and China. But what it's doing is it is pulling all the other markets into a commodity situation where the upward pressures and the volatility is likely to make coal prices to not replicate natural gas, but not be that low, stable price that it was counted on. Then uranium fuel, which again has been a relatively cheap commodity to operate at $10 a pound, costing maybe a penny a kilowatt hour for refueling costs. That also is going out the window, largely because of existing and expected nuclear power plant construction, not in North America, but in Asia. And so those prices have jumped from $10 and change up to $45 in a few years. There's no telling where it will stop. Also, a lot of uranium mines are, if not played out, they have reached their maximum. And what will happen is they have to open new mines, that's going to be more expensive. So everything is getting more expensive. Then we finally come to natural gas, and I really haven't talked about petroleum here because the power generator is not a significant factor anymore. Natural gas, we have been lucky. It's almost a roulette type of energy source when it comes to prices, and so far prices are low. We have a recession. Because we have not had a string of severe seasons. We have had very hot summers and very cold winters. We've been lucky that since Hurricane Katrina in 2005, no natural gas source has been seriously threatened by a storm. And we also have a slew of new discoveries and extractions, primarily from shale sources, that is prompting optimism that prices will be kept down. However, sooner or later, our luck is going to run out, and to be crass about it, to have your energy policy based on wearing a pair of ruby slippers and keep clicking your heels, that's not exactly wise strategic policy. Sooner or later, we're going to have a recession, and I hope we are not going to have mild weather forever, especially we'll probably have a hot summer and a cold winter in a row. The new sources of natural gas from shale and related types of areas will be more expensive to extract, and they will start having that price impact on the market. More natural gas is going to be used because it is the least carbon-intensive fossil fuel. It is also a great substance for fast startup of power plants, including base ones. I'm kind of a history nut, and I can't help but see the comparison between central power plants and battleships. About half a century, battleships were the mainstay of the Navy. They were the primary punch. Until about 1940-41, when the battleships in a variety of navies, not just the United States Pearl Harbor, but the British, the Italians, the Germans, all had their battleships wiped out by relatively tiny forces. And battleships still hung around for over half a century afterwards, but they were no longer a primary force. You remember from the First World War that the retrofitted battleship New Jersey was pounding Kuwait and Iraq. That's what they essentially do for half a century, pound beaches. There is liable to be a very drastic shift in the role of centralized power plants, from being primary deliverers to supplementary deliverers in the coming years, eventually falling back to the concept of essentially spinning reserves. They will be around if for some reason all the other stuff doesn't work after 10, 20, 30 days or so. So back to the solar market, and I'll be focusing on photovoltaics here. The photovoltaic market has experienced dramatic growth. If you look at more than 20 years ago, 33 megawatts, megawatts roughly a football field, 33 megawatts was installed around the entire world in 1988. Now that number, 33 megawatts, is about, it gets installed in California about every 3 weeks. And the number is going to probably be somewhere between 10 and 16,000, which is interesting because if it hits 20,000, which it doesn't do it this year or next year, we'll probably do it certainly by 2012. The first year that photovoltaic manufacturers equals 1% of the world's power plant nameplate capacity. With photovoltaic capacity factors being about 15% or so, you got to make a lot more to create 1% of the world's electricity. That'll probably come about 5 years after that. And then probably another 5 years after that, we'll be approaching 10% of the world's nameplate capacity. So as the exponential numbers increase, photovoltaic will be making a dramatic incursion into our power mix. Essentially, if you look at the wind market, and solar is roughly 7 to 10 years behind it. That's probably a very good measurement of how it's going. Back to the power market, as Dave mentioned, about 1 out of every 2 panels and inverters in the world last year got installed in Germany. And how do you know it just keeps happening? Still a 1 to 2 ratio. Germany's still about 50% of the global market. And we have last year Italy and Japan ahead of us. And look at who's in 5th place. The Czech Republic is breathing down our necks in terms of solar installation. We have 310 million people. The Czech Republic has 10 million. So it's an interesting example. Belgium, again, 10 million people, having almost as much as us. Canada, 10% of our population, 5% of our, rather 15 or close to 20%. You know, what's going on? It's very interesting analogy. And then we look within the United States, and how many people can pick out Illinois in this top 10? How many people can pick out any Midwestern state in this top 10? That's the problem. We're bubbling around in here. Now, I think, looking at what's coming up, we will probably see either Illinois or likely Ohio might crack into the top 10. large installations, although Ohio has been doing more than we have, even though they're cloudier than we are. So, the driving force in this business is policy. You have good policies, you will get good markets, and the economic benefits are there with it. If you go laissez-faire, and I should pronounce it laissez-faire, but I'm saying laissez-faire, you're just going to do nothing about it, nothing's going to happen except you'll get all the scraps that keep laying on. The market is bubbling up. We have now over 100,000 grid-connected photovoltaic installations in the United States. And I have here a rate of growing at over 3,000 a month. Looking at the latest data, we're going to have to change that to approaching 5,000 grid-connected installations a month. Most other businesses, the large majority of them are residences. Residential market is the gold rush as financial and regulatory issues keep gobbling up utility and commercial scale projects. They kind of keep going back and forth with market shares. Residential installations are actually solid. Not only are they growing in number, they're growing in size. 5 years ago, the average residential installation was about 2 kilowatts, now it's 5. And it's starting to have a measurable impact in new construction housing. California is reporting up to 10% of new housing starts out of year. How do you know those are the houses that are selling? Any other place, at least becoming statistically relevant. So Dave showed his chain chart before, and I'm going to emphasize the chain chart. What is our excuse? Here is Germany's insulation. Okay, equivalent to Alaska. Okay, they have half the world's installations. Here we are with good solid Midwesterners. We're not too hot and we're not too cold. So what's our excuse? And if you look at it further in terms of when we need solar electricity and when it's available, the Midwest actually has one of the best natural matches called electric load carrying capacity. Because of our cooling demand in the summertime and the wintertime. It is well over 70% if you do absolutely nothing in terms of the match of solar availability and electric demand. That's without incorporating any kind of storage or dispatching technologies. So we are a natural for having large amounts of photovoltaics without messing up, in fact, helping the transmission and distribution. Good news is that solar is getting cheaper. These photovoltaics is getting cheaper. And just for small numbers of panels, they want to buy enough for a house. The price has dropped by over $1 a watt just in the last less than 2 years. From about 460s down to about 359. In fact, you can probably do some bargaining, and you might even be able to find some panels with $2 a watt on a small number. How good they are is the story. That's for a later discussion. And if you're looking to shop for large amounts, I apologize for the numbers being in euros, but because Germany is still driving the installation market, well, that's how we have to price everything. That is going on. But most photovoltaic, if you're going to buy it in megawatts, not just truckloads, but large loads, container loads, you can probably get it for as cheap as $2 a watt. Possibly less. What's interesting here with all the different technologies going on, they're not only trending downward a little cheaper, but they're also bunching up as we get very competitive. And what kind of throws this chart up, it looks like it's going up. Don't forget the euro got more expensive. So we got to factor that in. It's about what? About 38 right now. We'll take those things. The critical element, though, is how much does it cost to generate electricity. And that is true whether you're talking about a 5 kilowatt PV system or a 1,000 megawatt nuclear system. And what is pretty well demonstrated that the cost of electricity is getting steadily cheaper. If you're looking at, say, big stuff, and this is actually using it was publicly available, 500 kilowatt large commercial system, not even a large commercial system anymore, but so many are done in the 1 to 2 megawatt scale. The cost of generating over 20 years has dropped from 21 cents a kilowatt hour down to 17 cents, again, in less than 2 years. This is before incentives. Now, this is Los Angeles prices, so you probably have to add about 20% because of the cloudiness factor. But again, electricity amount for residential house has dropped from close to 40 down to just above 30 cents a kilowatt hour. Again, before incentives. So if you're looking at a commercial job, you can probably, without any state incentive, knock off 75% of the cost of that electricity with the tax credit and accelerated depreciation. So how low can it go? Well, the consensus looks like, since we already have a number of manufacturers, both in thin film, primarily cadmium telluride, and some crystalline makers making panels for less than $1 a watt, but probably be 1 or 2 years before at least large numbers of panels are sold for $1 a watt, which will translate into multi-megawatt systems being installed for as little as $2 a watt. And then eventually the residential market will catch up. We assume it's 5 years. I think certainly by the end of the decade, where you can see residential systems installed for $3 or $4 a watt before incentives, which times it very nicely with the sunset of a lot of programs. So they can generate electricity pretty much, if not at grid parity, definitely well within the positive life cycle cost. Plus, you've got all these other fun things happening that are changing. We're going to, one way or the other, unless we want to have blackouts and brownouts out for the world, we are going to have a modern, so-called smart grid where we can synchronize everything. And that will help the inherent intermittent characteristics of solar as well as wind power. And there'll be that much more demand-side control of household appliances, of households themselves, and entire neighborhoods. They will be able to control when and how they use electricity and not just dumbly go on and off. The other critical issue that with the drop in solar prices, you can now start looking at energy storage to make the electricity more dispatchable. Because even though it'll add cost to it, you're adding cost in a declining environment, it'll make the electricity that much more valuable. On a small scale, say for a house, lithium batteries. On a medium scale, say commercial flywheels. Larger scale, sodium sulfide and electrolyte batteries. There's about 24 utility companies, half in the United States, that are already working on demonstration projects of energy storage and dispatching of renewable energy, both solar and wind. And also, if you have the right areas, such as say maybe an abandoned mine, you can use compressed air energy storage for real big ones. The other interesting thing is power plants, big power plants, primarily natural gas, will be coming on the market and will be fast starts. So that instead of a power plant requiring 12 to 24 hours to fire up and deliver electricity, we've got some generations, primarily natural gas power plants, that can go from cold to hot in 10 minutes and deliver electricity in 15 to 20. And I'm not talking about peakers, I'm talking about efficient baseload power plants, primarily natural gas. So they can tie in very well with solar and wind power. So the thing to realize is everybody wants instant gratification yesterday. So if they don't see that, well, you can't produce 50% of the world's energy in 5 years, I don't want you. I'm going to stay with the stuff I know about. Whereas if you're looking at economic development, it will take much longer to realize the energy values before the economic development values come. Energy is a huge industry. Depending on which estimates you're looking at, the energy infrastructure in this country can have replaced overnight somewhere between 14 and 16 trillion dollars. So $1 billion won't make that much of a world of difference. It will make a big difference in terms of economic development. Right down on the ground, if you look at a megawatt football field of solar panels, it will take up to 25 installers up to a year to install that football field of solar, depending on what you're looking at. So if we were to install 100 megawatts a year, which kind of goes in parallel with our expected renewable portfolio standard solar carve-out, as well as the improving economic advantages of solar, 100 megawatts a year would keep 2,500 installers busy for a year, plus at least that many people in design, manufacturing, administrative, service, and all those other things. We're talking about thousands of people just in the state of Illinois at good wages and good benefits and that stuff. And then to get to 1,000 megawatts, we're talking 100 megawatts a year for 10 years, then we'll get to our first 1% of Illinois' electricity. You have to be patient. If you have the attention span of a 7-year-old who's had too many sugar snacks, you're not going to do too well. The successful countries and states have been patient. Germany, Japan, California. They had 10-year programs that first realized a significant amount of energy, measurable. Then, after another 10 years or longer, we'll start seeing major stuff happen. So, where we are right now, Illinois has made some pretty good progress in the past few years in terms of policy. We now have essentially 90% of the state covered. If you look at the ComEd and Ameren service territories, in terms of ratepayers and not private land area. We do have in place a solar set-aside in our portfolio standard. We do have in place an agency that will be handling procurements for on a power purchase agreement basis as well as renewable energy credits. And I think by 2014 we'll be responsible for all of the procurement in renewable energy in the state. Those are good things. We also have a solar home ownership right. And kind of interesting hearing about equal rights of certain people who don't want to be bothered by certain things. And the flip side is, I should have the right to put solar panels on my house if I want to. Someone that objects to my putting solar panels on the house, well, they have to remove their pink flamingos or other tacky things that they have. But at least in terms of condo associations, co-ops, and covenants on one-story houses, you at least have a procedure. They just can't say no, you can't do it. There have to be specific health and safety reasons. And we are gradually developing a public financing system for long-term and large installations. But we have to do a lot more if we're going to be competitive. Again, I'm not worried about competing with Japan or Germany or California, New Jersey. I'm concerned about competing with Ohio, Wisconsin. I mean, it's a Big Ten situation right now. So the question is, who's going to get it? As much as I love Ohio, Bill, no. Illinois has got to see what kind of a role we can play. We need to have a truly statewide net metering interconnection situation. There'll probably have to be a legislative decision, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's some pushback, but there really needs to be one standard. You're going to install a PV system in Germany, a country of 80 million people. You have 3 standards you have to worry about according to the regional utilities. 3. In the United States, has 3 standards for net metering, interconnection, and incentives. In the United States, the last time I tried doing this on a sleepless night, looking at the database for state incentives for renewable energy, I think I lost count of something like 11,400 different standards in the United States. Something like 440 in California alone. You can't do effective business planning if you've got to worry about, in the case of Illinois, up to 50 different standards, or California up to 500 different standards to do business. That's why we scare a lot of people away. We need to get the net metering limit raised from 40 kilowatts up to 1 or 2 megawatts. Right now in Illinois, potentially have a good market for residential and small commercial, and a good market for big utility merchant power plants. We don't have a good market in the middle. We will not get the big box stores, the warehouses that want to put 1 or 2 megawatts down. And the net metering limit, even though it's not fantastic, at least get retail rate. Now, I understand there's opposition by certain utility companies on this because they're afraid of losing revenue. That may be the case. But on the other hand, also, that they're getting electricity, solar electricity, at a retail cost of something like 10 or 11 cents a kilowatt hour that will count toward the renewable portfolio standard. And there's no way that they can buy that electricity that cheap without being responsible for supplying the industry. We need to have a significant transition on how we provide financial incentives for renewable energy in the state. We have a wonderful policy going to 1997. That was great. It has not been changed since then. That's like staying with the same computer since 1997. It's unfortunately completely inadequate. And the important thing is not so much the dollar amount, but how the stuff is financed. And we need to transition to a performance-based incentive system. The easiest thing is a feed-in tariff rate. There are other ways of doing it too. The time has come to make serious commitments for the electricity and to a less extent the heating involved, because that's the only way the market is going to seriously grow. And yes, there's going to be sticker shock. But if people look at what the other stuff will cost, well, you know, it's going to cost more one way or the other. So you want the easy way or the hard way? Anyway, all the big changes going on, and summing up, the days of cheap energy are over. The only thing that's kind of masking now is our recession. I expect once the recession ends, we're going to see the permanent end of cheap energy going anything absolutely. The big problem is not technology, it is policy which is driving economics away. Policy is way behind. The regulatory process is way. We're still stuck in the 1935 mode. We just have to get out of it. We need to have a different set of tariffs. We also need, this is somewhat controversial, we need a way so that utilities and other power generators and providers are rewarded and not punished for transmitting and generating renewable-based energy. This is not reparations we're talking about. This has to be a business proposition. And it may require, for example, decoupling their ability to have profits and even revenues from spitting out kilowatt hours of firms. It's going to be controversial. I think that's going to be necessary. And we are getting more and more to the service economy through the grid, whether we like it or not. I need to say something about solar thermal because it's kind of the ugly duckling of the renewable energy industry. People say that renewable energy is the caboose on the energy train, and solar thermal is kind of like that little hand cart trying to chase the caboose comparison. But it is essentially a very solid, somewhat dull technology. It is the most efficient of the renewable energy technologies you can get right now, with up to 60% energy conversion into useful work. But it's not grid connected, so it's not sexy, it's not glamorous. And there's not an easy way to count energy savings. It can be done. The technology has evolved considerably on that, but again, the regulatory process hasn't caught up. It is also probably the single best strategic hedge against natural gas volatility of oil technologies, especially in the Midwest. Solar thermal will be used to offset, in most cases, natural gas consumption. But it suffers from a lack of research and development. It has been a conservative, slow growth, small scale. A big solar thermal company is maybe $200 to $300 million, even companies in China, which we can market. whereas now we have over a dozen companies that realize over $1 billion a year revenue in photovoltaics alone. So they really have some small-scale problem. Technology is conservative, it hasn't gotten their share of research and development and other things, and will be a good working substitute for copper as a majority. Because that's one of the problems that it suffers from being tied in with the expensive and volatile metal commodity prices. So solar thermal is going to probably need a special set of incentives, long-term incentives for it, rather than, and it has to be performance-based.